Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at DOGE.
The Department of Government Efficiency.
That's right, the Department of Government Efficiency. And we're really interested to see how all the inner workings might actually affect, the average person out there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've heard of Elon Musk's involvement, but there's actually another key player here who's just emerged from the shadows.
Yeah, for weeks now, there's been so much speculation about who is really at the helm of DOGE, but we finally have a name, Amy Gleason.
Oh, wow.
Both CNN and Politico are reporting that she is the acting administrator, and this could have some pretty serious implications for how DOGE operates.
Okay, so DOGE, for those of us who haven't been following every twist and turn,
Right.
remind us what they're all about and why this Gleason news even matters.
Sure. So DOGE in a nutshell is all about making the government more efficient. Think streamlining processes, cutting costs, and maybe even changing how we interact with different agencies. So Elon Musk, he's been the face of DOGE, right? He's out there making these big pronouncements about its goals, but his actual role has been kind of a mystery.
So is Gleason the one actually calling the shots? Is she the power behind the throne?
That's the million-dollar question, right? This appointment could mean that she's taking the reins and steering DOGE in a particular direction, and that direction could have a big impact on all of us.
I'm starting to see why we're doing a deep dive on this, but before we get into the potential impact, let's talk about Gleason herself. What's her background? What makes her qualified to lead this ambitious initiative?
Well, her background's actually quite interesting. She's got experience in both healthcare and technology, which makes her pretty uniquely positioned to tackle this kind of complex challenge that DOGE is facing. She even worked with the U.S. Digital Service.
U.S. Digital Service.
Yeah, they're the folks who help the government build and improve their digital services. And get this, not just under the current administration, she was there during the Trump administration as well.
Wow, so she's got experience working across party lines and navigating the often murky waters of government tech initiatives. That definitely paints a picture of someone who knows how to get things done.
Exactly. And her experience with the U.S. Digital Service is particularly relevant here. Imagine applying for government benefits online or accessing your medical records through a secure portal. These are the kinds of things that the U.S. Digital Service works on.
Okay, so Gleason clearly has the chops for this job. But what does her appointment mean for the average person? Will we actually see any tangible changes in our daily lives?
That's what we need to explore further. We know that DOGE wants to change how the government operates, but how those changes will trickle down to the everyday citizen remains to be seen.
I'm already thinking about how this could affect healthcare, given Gleason's background. Could this mean faster processing of insurance claims or easier access to telehealth services? Seems like there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah, you're spot on. Healthcare is definitely one area where we might see DOGE's influence under Gleason's leadership. Remember, their mandate is to find efficiencies. So think things like streamlining the approval process for new drugs or medical devices,
Oh, wow.
or even simplifying the way that medical records are shared between healthcare providers.
Okay.
Mm.
And for people who rely on government healthcare programs
Right.
like Medicare or Medicaid,
Exactly.
could DOGE's involvement mean changes to how those programs are administered? Maybe even how benefits are accessed?
Absolutely. DOGE could explore ways to digitize enrollment processes, make it easier for people to find information about their benefits, or even streamline the way reimbursements are handled for healthcare providers. I mean, the potential impact on both patients and providers is huge.
Okay, so healthcare is a big one.
Right.
But DOGE's scope goes way beyond that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We're talking about a department that could potentially impact everything from how we file our taxes to how we get our driver's licenses.
You got it. And let's not forget about the potential for DOGE to improve infrastructure. Imagine them using data to optimize traffic flow in cities, or streamline the permitting process for construction projects, or even find ways to make public transportation more efficient.
These are all things that would directly impact people's daily lives in ways they might not even realize.
For sure.
But let's be real, not all of these changes are going to be met with open arms.
Right.
Some people are probably worried about the implications of a more efficient government.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Anytime you're talking about streamlining processes, there's a risk of job displacement, particularly in government agencies. And there are always concerns about privacy and data security when you're dealing with sensitive information.
So what are we hearing from the critics?
Well,
What are their main concerns about DOGE and Gleason's leadership?
some argue that DOG's focus on efficiency could lead to cuts in essential services or programs. Others worry that streamlining processes might make it harder for people to navigate the system and access the help they need. And then there's also a concern that DOG's data collection could be used for purposes beyond just improving efficiency, potentially infringing on people's privacy.
It sounds like there's a lot of potential for good here,
Yeah,
but also some valid concerns that need to be addressed.
right.
This is where Gleason's leadership becomes crucial, right? How she navigates these challenges and balances the need for efficiency with the protection of individual rights is going to be key.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the Elon Musk factor. He's been a vocal supporter of DOGE, and his influence on the initiative is undeniable.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. How does Gleason's appointment change the dynamic between her and Musk? Does she have the authority to push back against his ideas if she disagrees?
That's one of the biggest questions surrounding this whole situation. Is Gleason truly in charge, or is she just a figurehead while Musk pulls the strings behind the scenes?
I guess time will tell how that power dynamic plays out. But one thing's for sure, DOGE is no longer just an abstract concept. With Gleason at the helm, it's starting to feel very real, and the potential impact on our lives is becoming more and more clear.
And that's why it's more important than ever to pay attention to what's happening with DOGE and hold those in charge accountable.
Speaking of accountability, there's one more piece of the puzzle we need to discuss. Gleason's LinkedIn profile still lists her as a senior advisor to the U.S. Digital Service as of January 2025. This news about her being acting administrator of DOGE is coming out in late February. So what's going on there? That's a good catch. It's late February, and we're just hearing about Gleason's appointment, yet her LinkedIn profile says she's still with the U.S. Digital Service as of January. It's not like these things usually happen overnight, right?
No, not really.
There's got to be some kind of process, some paperwork.
There certainly is. And that discrepancy raises some red flags about transparency. If Gleason has been acting administrator of DOGE for a while, why hasn't that information been made public? What else might they be keeping under wraps?
It makes you wonder if there's a deliberate effort to keep things hush-hush, maybe even to downplay Gleason's role.
Right.
But why would they do that?
It's hard to say for sure. One possibility is that they wanted to avoid drawing too much attention to DOGE until it was further along. Another possibility is that there are internal disagreements about the direction of the initiative, and they're trying to present a united front.
So we've got this potentially powerful figure leading DOGE who could impact all sorts of things we interact with daily.
Right.
But we're not even clear on when she started or what her relationship with Elon Musk is like. How can regular people even keep up with this, let alone have a say in how it affects them?
That's the challenge, isn't it? Government initiatives like DOGE can seem really distant and complex, but they have the potential to touch every aspect of our lives. It's up to us to stay informed, ask questions, and demand transparency from our leaders.
So where do we go from here? What should we, as concerned citizens, be paying attention to as this DOGE saga unfolds?
I think it's crucial to watch for concrete actions and policy changes coming out of DOGE. Are they actually implementing these ideas of efficiency? What specific programs or agencies are they targeting? And how are those changes impacting people on the ground?
We need to hear those stories.
Yeah,
The good, the bad, and the unexpected, because that's where the rubber meets the road, right?
exactly.
It's one thing to talk about streamlining government services, but it's another thing to see how those changes actually play out in people's lives.
For sure. And we need to keep asking those tough questions about transparency and accountability. Who's making the decisions? How are they being made? And what recourse do citizens have if they disagree with those decisions?
This all feels like a big experiment, and we're all part of it, whether we like it or not.
That's a great way to put it. DOGE is an experiment in government efficiency, and the results could have a really profound impact on all our lives.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today. To wrap things up for our listeners, stay engaged, stay informed, and don't be afraid to ask those tough questions.
Because ultimately, the future of government is in our hands. It's up to us to hold our leaders accountable and make sure that they're working for the benefit of all citizens.
And that's a wrap for our deep dive on DOGE. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, stay curious.